And went to march to the railroad station, which was still operating partially, loaded on this little train, and went out about, I don't know how far it was, 5-10 miles, something like that, and then unloaded and marched into a volcanic crater there. It was all grown up, big trees and everything, this crater, and it was a hunting reserve that was reserved for Mussolini and the big shots to hunt there, you know. And we stayed there, I can't remember now, 2 or 3 nights, and then we loaded up and moved up after dark up into position and before we placed our guns.
What was the broad plan at that point? Were you moving north?
Yes.
From Naples?
Well, yes. At that time, the Anzio, we went to right in near Minturno, Italy, is where guns were placed, and it was all in preparation for a spring attack. And Anzio beachhead had been secured, and then I believe it seemed like it was May the 11th that the attack started.
This is 1945?
45, yeah.
Okay.
And no, 44.
Oh, this is 44.
44, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because you came home in 45.
Yeah. Anyway, then the war, we got up to in the area where Dale and Sally were over there. And in fact, he's well acquainted with that area around there where we were located. We got up into the foot of the mountains when the Germans surrendered, and then we moved back into the little town of Feltry, where we set as occupation troops there for a while, processing the prisoners and so forth.
Right.
And then we left there. Some of our people were put on ships that left, that was heading for the Far East. They were going through the Panama Canal and on to the Far East. And we left there in August of 1945 and went down near Caserta, and where we waited to board a ship to come back to the States. I came back on the USS West Point, and we landed back at Hampton Roads, Virginia, and processed there, and took a train, the troop train, back to Fort Sam Houston, Texas.
Yeah.
And processed there in Fort Sam Houston, Texas, and was put on 60-day rest and recuperation leave, and was supposed to report to the artillery school at Fort Sill, Oklahoma, at the end of that 60-day leave.
You were in Italy. When did you arrive in Italy?
Arrived in Italy Well, let's see. January or February of 44.
And you were there for a whole year and a half
I was,
before you came back?
yeah.
Okay. So when,
See,
go
at
ahead.
that time, the only people that were eligible to rotate back to the States were, it was on a point system, and you had to have, I forgot how many points it was now, but the only people that qualified for rotation back to the States were some of the people that first went over there when the war started. And they had, you got points by the number of months you'd been over there, the number of campaigns you'd been in, and Purple Heart gave you points. And well, anyway, there was very few people that qualified for rotation, and it was 60-day leave. I believe it was 60-day leave. They got back in the States, and they had come back over again.
Yeah.
Until the war ended.
Right. And when did they drop the bombs in Japan? The Germans surrendered first, right?
Yes.
Wasn't very long after that that we dropped the atomic bombs and ended the whole thing, right?
It must have been in
sometime in 44.
Well, no, 45. In July, I guess, the last of July, the 1st of August, somewhere in there.
Yeah.
I don't remember exactly.
So when you came back over to the States, then you went to Fort Sam Houston again. Were you there at that time?
No, I was down in Corpus Christi
You were
working.
still there? Where were you working then?
Naval Air Station in Corpus Christi.
Oh, yeah? And what were you doing?
In a warehouse, parts warehouse, giving out parts to people that need them.
So when did you reunite?
Frank came down there.
I went, after I got processed at Fort Sam Houston, put on that 60-day leave, I went down to Corpus Christi and decided she was going to quit her job there because I was going to Fort Sill, Oklahoma. And so she processed through the personnel office there to terminate. And then while we were on this 60-day leave, I got a telegram from the Separation Center at Fort Sam Houston, Texas, stating that I had expressed a desire for separation from the service, and if I still desired to be separated, I was to return to the Separation Center there at Fort Sam Houston, Texas for processing. So Alice and I went up to San Antonio, and I went through the physical and everything for separation from the service. And on the 2nd of October, I was separated from active duty and placed on in reserves, you know. And we went back to Kennedy then.
We did.